I am a coach and an alum of Girls on the Run. Kids today carry a lot of stress, from school pressure to social isolation to overuse of devices. We create a space where girls can connect, build confidence, and learn skills like managing emotions, setting goals, and speaking up. Each child's experience is different, and families need support. I'm proud to be part of a comprehensive solution to youth mental health. Get involved today at empowerourfuturecoalition.com.
Hey, I'm Jamie East, and today's episode of the Smart 7 is brought to you by Sainsbury's, where you can save big on festive favourites with Nectar prices. With Christmas just around the corner, it's more important than ever to find value for money on your festive shop. And if you want to be the host or hostess with the mostess, you need Christmas magic from Sainsbury's. That means great discounts to make your festive season truly magical. For example, this week you can get 3 for 2 on all Sainsbury's party food with Nectar prices, including taste the difference treats like 8 mini Wagyu beef cheeseburgers, 8 crispy chicken bayo buns, or 12 crispy mushroom tartlets. You can shop in-store or online and save big on festive favourites this Christmas with Nectar prices at Sainsbury's. That's good food for all of us. This offer's for 18 plus, terms and conditions apply. Offer ends 31st of December, 3 for 2 on all Sainsbury's party food, cheapest product free. Nectar required, available in-store and online, excluding locals. Delivery fees may apply and subject to availability. 7 things you don't really need to know, but probably should. I'm Jamie East, and this is the Sunday 7.
I'm Keir Evans in for Jamie East this week, and on today's episode of the award-winning Sunday 7, we're looking back at some of the biggest stories in science and tech from the first half of 2025. We'll catch up on the long-lost astronauts Butch and Sunny, we'll take a look at 2025's new colour, and we'll hear about the world's smallest violin. Plus, we'll Guyatt, the Smart 7's resident tech guru, looks back at his biggest moments of the year. If you're enjoying our episodes, please do like and follow us wherever you get your podcasts. We're here 7 days a week at 7 a.m. with the 7 biggest stories on the Smart 7 in association with Metro. Before we get started though, it was on this day in 1849 that dry cleaning was accidentally invented. A French tailor by the name of Jean-Baptiste Joly knocked over a table lamp on his tablecloth and noticed that the turpentine oil inside cleaned the fabric, and he went on to open Paris's and the world's first ever dry cleaners. 2025 started with great excitement over the potential for artificial intelligence, although as the year went on, there's been increasing anxiety over the so-called AI bubble, which has pushed the valuation of chip company Nvidia through the roof. Back in January, though, it was much more positive as Prime Minister Keir Starmer rolled out a new blueprint for how his government were going to integrate artificial intelligence into the fabric of industry. He discussed the benefits of using AI across various sectors.
AI can help teachers plan lessons tailored to your children's specific needs. If you're worried about waiting times, aren't we all? AI can save hundreds of thousands of hours lost to missed appointments because it can identify those on the list most likely not to turn up and help get them the support that they need, maybe change for a more convenient appointment. It can spot potholes quicker, speed up planning applications, reduce job centre form filling, help in the fight against tax avoidance, and almost half the time that social workers spend on paperwork. Incredible. And yes, there will be teething problems. Of course there will. But we can't lose sight of the vast potential here.
There are also plans to increase the amount of AI computing power under public control and build a brand new supercomputer at a location yet to be decided. The Secretary of State for Science, Innovation and Technology, MP Peter Kyle, explained the plans.
As part of our plan of change, an AI Opportunities Action Plan, that will create AI growth zones, investment zones right around the country. We've created a new council so we can bring the voice of AI into the energy future strategic planning of our country. And we've also unveiled £14.5 billion worth of investment into our economy that's coming in today. That's on the back of £24 billion of investment into AI since we took office 6 months ago. So when you say magic, there is investment in the tens of billions that are going into our economy now because of the actions of this government. Now, in terms of how AI will unfold, we are not going to sit on the sidelines. We are going to be active participant using the power of government to make sure that all communities communities from around the country benefit from the infrastructure, and then all people, all industries, and then government itself benefits from the power of AI going forward.
Ivana Bartoletti is the Global Chief Privacy Officer at the IT company Wipro. She spoke to the BBC about how AI gathers its information for various things.
Yeah, look, the main issue about artificial intelligence is that it needs a lot of data. And especially the new technologies, especially generative AI, which is when you can create video, text, they are built by scraping a lot of data out of the web. And there are very much questions that are still open, so privacy, but also copyright, on which the UK has launched a consultation. Now, the issue is how the UK can invest on privacy-preserving technologies, on anonymization that really works, so that people can trust giving their data or sharing their data. Data is a public asset. It's really important to remember that, but it has to be treated with extreme care.
She also addressed plans to use clean power and form a new AI Energy Council to address criticisms on how environmentally friendly using AI on such a mass scale is.
One element that is important is to also find the niche where the UK can really lead globally. So, for example, the big call on how we can green data centres, how we can make them responsible, we can make it sustainable.
Skeptics worry widespread use of AI could lead to unintended consequences, including job losses, increased surveillance and erosion of privacy. Dr. Maxine Mackintosh is an expert in AI and health in the Alan Turing Institute and thinks technology is helpful in certain medical settings.
AI in healthcare particularly lends itself to imaging. Imaging is often one of the best use cases that we see for sort of low risk AI with high accuracy. Whereas if you say come into your GP and say, oh, I'm feeling a bit low, what can you do? There's so much other data around that you need to understand.
Stephany runs Beam. They already provide artificial intelligence for welfare services in the UK. Here's how the system works.
So traditionally, it would be a lot of pen and paper, and in every meeting with a resident, a social worker would be having to write everything down, head in a notepad, back to the office, type it all in. Really time consuming and, truth be told, not that much fun for anyone. What happens with Magic Notes is they sit down with the individual, they press a button, the AI, they get consent, the AI then records it, and it produces the paperwork that is required for that specific meeting. It emails to the social worker. The social worker can then check it, improve it even still, and then save it in their system.
This week, we're looking back at some of the biggest science and tech stories of the year in the first of our Sunday 7 2025 specials. One man who's been knee-deep in the latest tech news all year is the Smart 7's tech guru, Will Guyatt. Will, we've asked you to pick out some of your favourite stories from 2025 on tech. What caught your eye?
I'm going to start with a story from the beginning of the year that caught Silicon Valley and much of the West out when a Chinese AI startup called DeepSeek launched their own promising R1 chatbot and large language model. This reminded people just how quickly and successfully AI was being developed in other parts of the world too.
It seems like China and the rest of the tech world are on quite different tracks, right?
Yeah, the easiest way to describe this is that Western AI is built a bit like a Ferrari. It's got a big engine that uses lots of fuel, it needs to be serviced all the time, but looks really cool. Whereas DeepSeek is comparable to a lawnmower, way cheaper to build, run and maintain. And when it comes to cost, the Chinese option could be significantly cheaper to scale up than that of OpenAI or others. And for a moment at the start of the year, Silicon Valley took a sharp intake of breath because this could have been the first opportunity for the AI house of cards to collapse. But it didn't, as DeepSeek didn't show off its homework to prove their AI was doing exactly what they said it was doing. After all, they shouldn't have the more powerful Western AI kit that was illegal to sell into China. Or did they?
OpenAI seems to be spending money at a frightening rate. What are the chances they'll ever make it all back?
This was a story that should have got way more attention than it did this year. The bank HSBC did some modelling on ChatGPT's potential growth, and they discovered that by early 2030s, there would still be a black hole of around $30 billion in OpenAI's revenues, and that OpenAI had already committed a frankly insane $1.3 trillion per year for compute power alone by 2033. To you and I, that's loads of big computers in a hot shed that use so much energy that companies like Google are building their own nuclear reactors to run them. Now, we've heard that Disney is investing $1 billion into OpenAI, and there's rumours that Amazon are dropping around $10 billion into the company on the understanding that OpenAI will use more of their cloud servers. But OpenAI and ChatGPT are going to need a hell of a lot more cash and a lot more of us choosing to subscribe to these services to ever break even. But sometimes reality doesn't seem to matter in Silicon Valley.
And speaking of OpenAI's Sam Altman, this year saw a good old billionaire battle between him and our friend Elon Musk.
They were pals at one point and started OpenAI together in 2015, but the beef is now real, and hardly a week went by without Elon and Sam trolling the hell out of each other in 2025. Perhaps one of the most damning lines was in an Altman interview earlier this year when he said that Elon's life is from a position of insecurity. I feel for the guy. I do, actually. I don't think he's a happy person. And that came a day or so after Musk mischievously suggested he was tabling an offer to buy OpenAI for around $100 billion, which was instantly rebuffed. Musk then filed a lawsuit claiming that OpenAI was no more than a subsidiary of Microsoft, claiming it was a deceit of Shakespearean proportions, which is bloody rich coming from a billionaire that's turning his anger into a storyline that would suit EastEnders.
Elon's really had a strange year, from Trump confidant to conspiracy theorist. Has he done real harm to his own brand?
It's hard to say, but he has certainly damaged his brand by running the disaster that was Doge. And judging by the number of people slapping "I got this before Elon went mad" stickers on their Tesla this year, there was significant upset and various calls for Musk to either focus on his businesses or get out of them. A fallout with Trump meant that he went back to his businesses, which all appear to be going from strength to strength. SpaceX and Neuralink particularly have delivered real progress and growth this year, and Musk is now likely to be the world's first trillionaire shortly, as his wealth has now shot ahead of his nearest rivals. So while it's been a tricky year for Elon, he really doesn't seem to give two monkeys about it.
And this was a real theme in 2024, but big tech has been chased around the room by big law once again, hasn't it?
There's going to be some fat bonuses for lawyers this Christmas, and most of the pressure has been exerted on big tech by the European Union, as the Digital Markets Act stepped on the wallets of Google, Meta, Microsoft and Apple, who all got slapped with billions of euro worth of fines this year alone, based on the suggestion that they were each stifling competition in their own way.
That's not making Donald Trump happy either, is it?
Absolutely not, because in the last few weeks of 2025, Trump has really been on the warpath. A big deal that meant the US was going to pump around $30 billion into UK AI projects has been put on hold, in part because the UK has refused to drop the 2% digital service tax that is applied to all social media platforms and tech businesses who make money from UK users. But let's see what happens in 2026, whether big tech and big law are still fighting, or could Big Donald stop the big fines? Who can tell?
Still to come on the Sunday 7 in association with Metro, we meet an energetic neutrinos and welcome home some long-lost astronauts. We're heading to Italy now for a story in February that put a tiny particle under the microscope. One of the greatest mysteries in particle physics is the neutrino, a tiny particle that outnumbers atoms by 1 billion to 1, but they have proven very hard to track or analyse. This year, scientists based in Italy discovered the most energetic neutrino ever, but it wasn't simple to do so. Frank Close is Professor Emeritus at Theoretical Physics at Oxford College, and he explained why neutrinos are so hard to examine.
Neutrinos have got no electric charge. They've almost got no mass at all. They're as near to nothing as you can imagine. They're so reluctant to interact with stuff, they pass through the Earth as if it wasn't there.
This high-energy neutrino was tracked by an underwater telescope, which sounds contradictory. It's not really a conventional telescope, but a collection of light-detecting spheres, which is located on the floor of the Mediterranean Sea. Its aim is to capture the tiny particles which emerge from nuclear reactions, such as the process of at the centre of the Sun. Chinese scientists are also pursuing the elusive neutrino, building a massive underground detector which is close to completion. Professor Andre de Gouvea is the chair of the Physics and Astronomy department at Northwestern University, and he says the race to catch neutrinos is really heating up and that China's new facility could be a game changer.
Even though we've known about the existence of neutrinos for almost 100 years now, we've only done enough experiments to start learning about their properties in any detail right now. So it's a big sphere with some liquid scintillator inside, and they instrument the surface of the sphere with these photon detectors. And what makes a Juno special is that there's a lot of these photons. They cover the entire sphere in a way that we have not done before in any kind of experiment.
The underground detector has been built at Kaiping in China and the Jingmen Neutrino Observatory, and its size and scale should help with the task of catching the high-speed particles. Wang Yifang is the director of the Institute of High Energy Physics, and he's excited to see if the new detector will be able to detect subtle differences between the types of neutrino.
So we try to measure neutrino mass differences by using this detector to know that which neutrino is heavier, which one is lighter.
2026 looks set to be a big year for space exploration, with new NASA boss Jared Isaacman keen to accelerate America's efforts to complete another moon landing. 2025 saw some headway made in planning for the Artemis project, but it also saw serious red faces for NASA and Boeing as 2 astronauts had to be rescued from the International Space Station. Butch Wilmore and Sonny Williams finally returned to Earth in March after spending almost 9 months in space. That's not unusual in itself, but their return became a political talking point for Elon Musk and Donald Trump, who claimed the Biden administration had abandoned the pair. The truth is, it was the failure of Boeing's Starliner that saw an 8-day test flight turn into a 9-month stay on the International Space Station. The newly designed vehicle struggled to dock with the station, and then engineers on Earth were not happy to send the 2 astronauts back to Earth in it, as a science communicator, Niamh Shaw, explained to Sky News.
What really happened was they couldn't really figure out what the issue really was that prevented them from having that smooth approach to the International Space Station. And then around about September, they decided that they just didn't have enough data to be sure that they could safely return to Earth. And so they remained on, and the solution was that Crew 9 were soon to come up to replace Crew 8, and Crew 9 were provided to get to the International Space Station by SpaceX's Crew Dragon capsule. And what they did was they removed 2 of that 4-person crew, and they then got Sunita and Butch to be the other 2 members of that 4-person crew of Crew 9. And they're coming to the end of that mission now, and so they're just coming home, just like every other crew mission that completes its 6-month mission.
British astronaut Tim Peake spent over 6 months on the International Space Station, including doing a spacewalk and running the London Marathon on a treadmill. And he says that even though they weren't planning to be there that long, it's still an emotional moment when you have to check out of the space hotel.
Final days are very busy. You're trying to wrap up all of your own personal administration, and of course you're preparing the spacecraft for re-entry procedures as well. And for Butch and Sonny, I think it'll be a very nostalgic moment. Sonny's already said she doesn't expect to go back to space again, so departing the space station for what you think is the last time, you're going to be making the most of all of those precious moments.
Finally, the SpaceX Dragon capsule named Freedom splashed down into waters off Florida.
And splashdown. Crew 9 back on Earth.
And SpaceX Freedom splashdown. Good main release.
Copy splashdown. We see main chutes cut. Nick, Alex, Butch, Sonny, on behalf of SpaceX, welcome home.
In a made-for-TV moment, the pod was briefly surrounded by a real-life pod of dolphins, and the astronauts emerged shortly after. The crew were flown to a NASA facility in Houston, where they will now undergo a 45-day rehabilitation program to get their bodies used to Earth's gravity again. Megan Christian from the UK Space Agency says that even though the longer stay was unexpected, it actually ended up creating a new space record.
For Sonny in particular, she got to become the woman with the most number of hours outside the space station doing extracurricular activities. So I think it was a difficult time, and there are certainly things to be learned about test flights and how they might go and contingency plans that might need to be made, but it's also a positive thing.
About 3 weeks later, they had time to get used to gravity once again. The duo held their first press conference and were reluctant to even point a finger at Boeing over the Starliner's technical issues.
There were some issues, of course, that happened with Starliner. There were some issues, of course, that happened that prevented us from returning on Starliner. And I'll start with me. There were questions that I, as a commander of the spacecraft, that I should have asked, and I did not. At the time, I didn't know I needed to. And maybe you could call that hindsight, but I'll start and point the finger and I'll blame me. I could have asked some questions And the answers to those questions could have turned the tide.
The astronauts have been reacclimatising to Earth after 9 months away at a NASA facility, but they're due to meet with Boeing engineers and NASA administrators to review what went wrong with their test flight. Sonny says it does take a while to get used to life on Earth again.
It's pretty hard when you come back, and you don't even have to be up there 9 months. Like my other missions were 6 and 5 months. And you do feel pretty nauseous when you first get back. It's just that inner ear neurovestibular feeling for the first 24 to 48 hours. And I knew, having gone up twice before, that it was just a matter of time. So I was like, just push through it. You got this. I mean, just make yourself get up, make yourself go take a shower, and just push over those things and make yourself walk on a line to just work on all of those little small agility muscles.
Fellow NASA astronaut Nick Hague joined Butch and Sonny in the space station back in September, and he was mission commander for the delayed flight back to Earth. He spoke at the press conference and had nothing but praise for the two astronauts and their work ethic in space.
We are working as a part of an international team that spans the globe and works with, half a dozen mission control centers spread around the globe that are talking in multiple languages, and we just figure out how to make it happen. And that's the magic of human spaceflight. We can focus on something so positive that pulls people together, and we've been doing that for a long time.
Still to come in the Sunday 7 in association with Metro. We find out about the brand new colour, and Donald Trump has plenty to say about America.
Right after this. Hey, I'm Jamie East, and today's episode of the Smart 7 is brought to you by Sainsbury's, where you can save big on festive favourites with nectar prices. With Christmas just around the corner, it's more important than ever to find value for money on your festive shop. And if you want to be the host or hostess with the mostess, you need Christmas magic from Sainsbury's. That means great discounts to make your festive season truly magical. For example, this week you can get 3 for 2 on all Sainsbury's party food with nectar prices, including taste the difference treats like 8 mini Wagyu beef cheeseburgers, 8 crispy chicken bayo buns, or 12 crispy mushroom tartlets. You can shop in-store or online and save big on festive favourites this Christmas with nectar prices at Sainsbury's. That's good food for all of us. This offer's for 18 plus, terms and conditions apply. Offer ends 31st of December, 3 for 2 on all Sainsbury's party food, cheapest product free. Nectar required, available in-store and online, excluding locals. Delivery fees may apply and subject to availability.
I am a coach and an alum of Girls on the Run. Kids today carry a lot of stress, from school pressure to social isolation to overuse of devices. We create a space where girls can connect, build confidence, and learn skills like managing emotions, setting goals, and speaking up. Each child's experience is different, and families need support. I'm proud to be part of a comprehensive solution to youth mental health. Get involved today at EmpowerOurFutureCoalition.com.
Welcome back.
On today's episode of the Sunday 7, we're taking a look back at some of the biggest science and tech stories of the year. April saw scientists announce the discovery of a new colour. It's called Olo, and as we're a podcast, I describe it as a sort of vibrant bluey green. The process of discovery doesn't sound like a lot of fun, as the researchers fired laser pulses into the pupils of participants in the trial in order to stimulate the retina. The subjects described Olo as a vibrant bluey green colour, and the findings were published in the journal Science Advances. There's been some doubt about the findings, though, which has been described as open to interpretation. But Professor Reng Ning, who is a professor of electrical engineering and computer sciences at the University of California at Berkeley, says it's a beautiful colour and that it may have implications for people who suffer from colour blindness.
To me, it felt like, now this is an analogy, but as if you went around the world and your whole life you just saw cream as the most saturated yellow you could see. So a very pale yellow. And then one day, for the first time, you chance upon a daffodil and you're just floored by how much more saturated yellow could be. That's what it felt like to me, okay? So I think one wouldn't say that's the most saturated cream I've ever seen. You'd want to give it a new name, and that's what we did here.
The second term for Donald Trump has brought plenty of chaos to America's lives, from tariffs and ICE agents to threats of war against Venezuela. It's been hard to predict what Donald would turn his attention to next. One thing is certain: appointing Robert F. Kennedy Jr. as his health secretary will have long-term consequences for America's health, particularly when it comes to things like vaccinations. Already, America has seen a rise in diseases previously deemed extinct, like measles and whooping cough, and RFK Jr. isn't finished yet. back in May. US President Donald Trump attempted to tackle Big Pharma in the United States. It was hard to follow exactly what the bigger plan was, but he directed Health Secretary RFK Jr. to impose new price cuts on drug manufacturers and a 30-day window to get results. It was off the back of an executive order, and Trump said if the cuts weren't made voluntarily, then he'd institute what he calls a most favoured nation pricing model, which would see the US refuse to pay more than the lowest price paid by comparable countries. He spoke at length about price equalisation, and it sounded like there's also a potential tariff element for Big Pharma who manufacture outside of the US. He also had a story about a famous, rich, smart billionaire friend who was taking weight loss medication that seemed to have inspired his move on price cutting.
A friend of mine who's a businessman, very, very, very top guy. Most of you would have heard of him. A highly neurotic, brilliant businessman, seriously overweight, and he takes the fat shot drug. And he called me up and he said, "President, could I ask you a question?" "What?" "I'm in London and I just paid for this damn fat drug I take." I said, "It's not working." He said, "I just paid $88. And in New York, I pay $1,300. What the hell is going on?"
The irony, of course, is that President Biden had substantially lowered the cost of drugs, including insulin, but Trump scrapped those restrictions on manufacturers when he returned to power. The so-called fat shot, which is the increasingly popular family of weight loss drugs like Gouvea and Ozempic, are proving to be effective at more than just helping people to lose weight. New research suggested that apart from the health benefits of losing weight, these drugs may also have a larger role in extending what's known as health span. Former Academy of Medical Sciences Chair Professor Sir John Bell spoke to the BBC's World at One.
What it'll make a big difference to is not life expectancy, but healthy life expectancy. So one of the problems is we have extended life, but we haven't done very well at extending healthy life expectancy. So people get old, they get 4 diseases, they've got chronic illness of one sort or another, and then they die a few years later than they would have previously. What you really want to do is you want to run healthy life expectancy out further, and that's a concept called health span, which I think a lot of these preventative interventions are really focused on now. And just from a societal perspective, that's really what we need to be shooting for. We might, but I'm not sure we want a lot of people running around at 140 years of age. What would be nice is that if everybody got to 85 and they were fit and healthy.
A study by Oxford University released in May compared 11 of the weight loss drugs, and their findings suggest that while patients typically lost 8 kilos on the jabs, they regained most of the weight within a year of stopping the medication. That reinforces the fact that the drug should be part of a regime change, which involves healthier eating and exercise. However, with evidence that the fat shot can help reduce heart disease, liver disease and potentially cognitive decline and dementia, there are indications that more people should be prescribed the medication. Dr. Hilary Jones, the medical expert on Good Morning Britain, was warning that it's not a silver bullet.
First of all, it hasn't been trialled in people of normal weight. Secondly, there are serious and significant side effects for some people, so it wouldn't be eligible for everybody. And the cost alone would be unaffordable if it was rolled out to what people are suggesting right now.
Our final story for today's first part of the Sunday Sevens look back at 2025 features an incredible piece of nanoengineering, and we heard about it in June. If you've ever complained too much about something, you'll be familiar with the near universal finger gesture. Not that one. The thumb and forefinger rubbing together, which of course symbolises someone playing the world's tiniest violin. Well, bad news if you're not a fan of that symbol of minimal sympathy, because scientists at Loughborough University have been hard at work creating the actual instrument. They've used nanotechnology to build a violin that is made of platinum and measures just 35 microns long and 13 microns wide. You'll remember, of course, that a micron is a millionth of a metre, and a human hair typically measures at about 100 microns wide. So we're talking quite small. The teams weren't just doing this for fun, though. It's partially to demonstrate the university's new nanolithography system, which allows them to create and study structures at nanoscale. Professor of Experimental Physics at Loughborough University, Kelly Morrison, explained.
The nanofraser is what we call a thermal scanning probe microscope. It allows you to effectively write patterns or draw very, very small structures in different types of materials. It's like this very, very, very small needle that can see atomic interactions. What we do is we take that needle and we heat it up. So now it can not only see the surface with atomic resolution, but it can burn away material. Because it can burn away material, we can use it to write patterns.
This technology could be critical when it comes to developing the next generation of computing devices. Dr. Naomi Leo is a Future Leader Fellow at Loughborough, and she helped to put the size of the nano violin into context.
Another comparison we can make is of the size of the violin to the size of a tardigrade, or small water bear, and they have a size of about 50 to 1,200 microns. So if you had a small tardigrade, they might be able to play the violin.
This has been the Sunday 7. Wherever you're listening, do us a favour and hit the follow button. We'll be back tomorrow at 7 a.m. with the regular Smart 7. Have a great rest of your weekend. Written, produced and published by Daft Doris. Hey, I'm Jamie East, and today's episode of the Smart 7 is brought to you by Sainsbury's, where you can save big on festive favourites with Nectar prices. With Christmas just around the corner, it's more important than ever to find value for money on your festive shop. And if you want to be the host or hostess with the mostess, you need Christmas magic from Sainsbury's. That means great discounts to make your festive season truly magical. For example, this week you can get 3 for 2 on all Sainsbury's party food with Nectar prices, including taste the difference treats like 8 mini Wagyu beef cheeseburgers, 8 crispy chicken bayo buns, or 12 crispy mushroom tartlets. You can shop in-store or online and save big on festive favourites this Christmas with Nectar prices at Sainsbury's. That's good food for all of us. This offer's for 18 plus, terms and conditions apply. Offer ends 31st of December, 3 for 2 on all Sainsbury's party food, cheapest product free. Nectar required, available in-store and online, excluding locals. Delivery fees may apply and subject to availability.
I am a coach and an alum of Girls on the Run. Kids today carry a lot of stress, from school pressure to social isolation to overuse of devices. We create a space where girls can connect, build confidence, and learn skills like managing emotions, setting goals, and speaking up. Each child's experience is different, and families need support. I'm proud to be part of a comprehensive solution to youth mental health. Get involved today at EmpowerOurFutureCoalition.com.